Welcome back, Focus Learners. Today, we're bringing you a detailed, strictly objective explainer. We're mapping out the exact events of the July 13th Donald Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. You know, when chaotic events like this occur, the absolute best way to grasp them is to just step back and look at the hard evidence. We're going to rely purely on forensic data, verified timelines, and official reports to figure out exactly what happened that day. Let's use this explainer to clear away all the noise and focus entirely on the facts.
To really understand this event, we have to start by setting the scene right before the chaos unfolds. Picture this. It's the 13th of July. The location? Butler, Pennsylvania. It is a sweltering, hot early evening. Tens of thousands of people have gathered outdoors to see former U.S. President Donald Trump speak. So you've got this environment that's just totally filled with anticipation, energy, and heat.
Okay, let's dive into this and look at the political stakes of this specific rally. This helps us grasp the sheer magnitude of the event. Pennsylvania is one of 6 vital swing states. That means it plays a massive role in securing a presidential win. Butler itself is a blue-collar town, and it skews heavily Republican. And importantly, this is all happening just days before Trump plans to officially accept the Republican nomination. So we've got a massive, enthusiastic crowd in a high-stakes location, completely unaware of what's about to happen just minutes into the speech.
Let's look at the physical layout of the area to get our bearings. There are 3 main zones you need to keep in mind. First, up on the stage, you have Trump and his support staff, and they're flanked closely by Secret Service agents. Next, directly in front of the stage, and on the bleachers to the center left and right, you have the massive crowd. And crucially, the third zone. Behind the stage are 3 large buildings. On the roofs of the buildings to the far left and far right, Secret Service snipers are positioned. Their entire job is to constantly scan the surroundings, looking for any potential threats.
So the rally begins normally, right? Trump is up at the podium. But then comes the catalyst. It's this split-second, seemingly mundane movement. Trump turns his head to the right to point at a chart displaying border crossing statistics. At that exact same moment, several people in the crowd begin to notice a man armed with a gun on a nearby roof. And as Trump will later confirm, that simple physical movement, just turning his head to the right, literally saved his life.
Suddenly, bullets start flying. One is even captured mid-air by a photographer's camera, which is just incredible. But let's talk about the distance those bullets traveled. We're talking exactly 400 feet. That's about 120 meters. To put that into perspective, that's more than the entire length of a football field. That is the exact gap between the stage podium and the roof north of the stage where the shooter has positioned himself.
Let's look at the verified facts regarding the threat firing from that roof. The gunman is quickly identified as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks. His weapon of choice? An AR-15 semi-automatic rifle. And forensic tracing actually verified that this specific rifle was legally purchased by his father. These are the objective, hard facts of the threat that materialized 400 feet away from the podium.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer speed of the chaos. It's staggering. Let's walk through this second by second. At 0 seconds, the first round of 3 shots rings out. Trump reaches up, the first bullet has actually pierced the upper part of his right ear. He ducks down. Just 3 to 4 seconds later, Secret Service agents swarm the podium, literally shielding the former president with their own bodies. Fast forward to 42 seconds, and agents verbally confirm the shooter is down. And then, at 75 seconds, Trump stands up, raising his fist to the crowd. It is a stunningly rapid sequence of events, from the first crack of gunfire to the moment he stands back up.
So, let's examine the counterfire response during those frantic seconds. Immediately after his first volley, Crooks fires 5 additional shots. Now, right before those initial shots, video evidence shows one of the Secret Service snipers on the left roof behind Trump seems to detect the gunman and prepares to return fire. While some media outlets initially reported that these specific snipers killed Crooks, the Secret Service has officially only confirmed that its personnel neutralized the shooter. We can't corroborate the exact agents who fired the fatal shots, only that the threat was decisively neutralized by law enforcement.
Tragically, the gunfire sweeping across that 400-foot gap had a devastating human cost. As the bullets hit the bleachers, 50-year-old spectator Corey Comparatore was killed. 2 other spectators sitting in the crowd were critically injured. It is a somber and truly sobering reminder of the very real violence that struck the crowd that afternoon.
To really understand the intensity on the stage, we can actually look at the real-time audio captured, because Trump's microphone was still on. As agents shielded him on the ground, a tense micro-narrative played out. You can hear agents communicating. Shooters down. Are we good to move? You hear Trump right in the middle of the scramble asking, "Let me get my shoes," and agents noting the situation, saying, "Bloody, we gotta move." This raw audio literally places us right in the middle of that desperate, high-adrenaline scramble for safety. As they prepare to escort him to an armored vehicle, this is about 75 seconds after initially ducking to the ground, Trump stands. He raises his fist and mouths the words, "Fight, fight, fight." The crowd instantly begins to chant for him. The photograph of that exact moment, bloodied but defiant, with his fist raised in front of the American flag, well, that image immediately traveled across the globe before he was even rushed to the local hospital.
Section: Investigating the Shooter. Subtitle: What We Know About Thomas Matthew Crooks. Let's move to and see how this builds into the ongoing investigation.
When investigators looked into his political footprint, they found deeply conflicting records. We're going to present this exactly as the data shows. On one hand, voter registration records in Pennsylvania show he was actively registered as a Republican. But on the other hand, public financial records show he donated $15 to a liberal voter turnout group through a Democratic platform back in 2021. We are presenting these facts completely neutrally without taking any sides or adding speculation. We're just highlighting the contradictory nature of his public political paper trail.
Beyond his voter registration, here are the verified forensic facts about his civilian life. He was 20 years old, with absolutely no criminal history in Pennsylvania's public court records. He worked as a kitchen worker, and he held a membership at a local shooting club. Furthermore, as the investigation immediately expanded outward, the FBI actually discovered suspicious devices in both his car and his home, which were immediately taken in for evaluation by the agency.
The immediate aftermath of this event rippled outward across the world almost instantly. Former President Trump was treated at a local hospital and then flown to New Jersey later that night, appearing to be doing well. President Biden, along with various global leaders, immediately issued public statements condemning the attack and political violence at large. Meanwhile, that striking photo of the raised fist, it instantly crystallized into a highly powerful symbol for his re-election campaign.
But as we wrap up this explainer, we are left with massive, unresolved questions. How is law enforcement unable to secure a rooftop just 400 feet away from a former president? Were they scouting for dangers further away, assuming other local agents had that roof covered? And perhaps most importantly, what was his actual motive? As the FBI investigation continues and new details emerge by the minute, these are the critical questions that absolutely demand answers. Keep these structural facts in mind as you follow the ongoing updates. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, focused learners, and stay curious.